Hello everyone, welcome to EduTap. Myself Ritika and I welcome you to another Toppers Talk session. So today I have with me Mr. Deepak. We welcome you to the channel, Mr. Deepak, and congratulations to you on becoming a Grade A officer.
Thanks a lot, ma'am.
You are welcome and we are really glad to have you, especially after the journey you've been through, you have told me. So I'll give a brief introduction of yours.
Sure, ma'am. Sure.
So that students can actually inspire themselves through your journey. So guys, Mr. Deepak hails from Gulbarga, Karnataka. He has done his BE in computer science. He passed out in 2015. He has worked for 1 year in Bangalore post his graduation, and then he started appearing in UPSC examinations. So 3 or 4 attempts he has given, and post that he switched to regulatory body. Three. And post that he switched to regulatory bodies, and this was specifically NABARD Grade A 2021 was his second attempt in NABARD examination, and he is with us today sitting as an officer. So this is really inspiring, Mr. Deepak.
Sure.
So
thanks a lot for the kind words, ma'am. Thanks for the warm welcome.
Please tell us about your feelings after been through such an arduous journey, and today you are here with us sharing your strategy.
I would say it's a major relief in my life. Ma'am, last 5 years I have seen so many ups and downs. So finally, this comes as a major relief to me and my parents. More than me, my parents are worried about me, like what are you going to do in the future and all. So they are everyone is kind in peace now that I have a job and I'm an officer. So it's an happy environment everywhere. Even my friends, everyone, they're pretty happy for me, man.
Definitely, it is.
So
as you said that you started preparing for UPSC and appeared there, but the job that you have landed yourself is one of the most coveted jobs, I would say. You are eventually gonna sit in the most important offices of our country.
Yeah, ma'am. Hopefully, yeah. Thanks a lot, ma'am.
Acha, and one thing I want to ask is that because you passed out in 2015, right? And you have been through so many examinations, how did you kept yourself motivated through these years?
Motivated, ma'am. Probably I will give my credit to my support system, who are my parents and my friends. Every time I had a fall, they used to cheer me up. Okay, it's a journey, just enjoy. I'll request everyone to take it as a phase of life, not as like, I had to clear this. Take it as a phase, enjoy the journey. So there's so many learnings you get through to this journey, ma'am. It's not that every time you're going to see ups in lives. So there are downs also. So, it's very important how you pick yourselves when in that deep, dark place. So, that's the one thing major learning which I had. Plus, I kept on motivating myself, ma'am. I was like, one day, one day, though, my fate has to change. So I just kept giving my best, and finally worked out, everything panned out really well, and I cleared the exams and finally got into the organization.
Lovely. That is important actually, to keep faith that one day it is gonna change.
Yeah,
and
one day.
It does.
One day. Yeah.
Right. And
it's always the faith that one day is gonna change.
Right. Yeah. One more question, that is because you were appearing in UPSC. UPSC is quite a common examination, right? A lot of people are aware about it. But what we have seen is that about NABARD or RBI or even SEBI, students are not aware about it. So how did it happen to you?
Actually, this credit goes to my owner uncle. The tenant who I used to stay there. He was working in RBI. So he was the one who guided me to take up these exams and look for these exams, because I remember going and talking to him when I couldn't clear the prelims for the third time. He was like, he called me and sat me down. He's like, these are the other exams which you need to look through. Then I did some research along with the help of my other friends. We started preparing for this. Preparing for these regulatory exams with a proper strategy.
So that is, again, I would say, a stroke of luck that your owner called
you.
Yeah,
ma'am, that's what I'm telling you. Yeah, you need a stroke of luck, ma'am. Hard work also pays off, but with that hard work, you need that 1% of luck to clear these exams. So without luck, how much hard work I remember putting more effort for other exams, but I couldn't clear. I was rejected back then. But you need everything on your stars should be aligned to crack these exams. That's what I would say. do your best and hope for the best.
So a very, very humble suggestion that you have given, actually, a humble thought that you have, that you have to work hard and rest is up to your stars. Good. Okay. So tell me about
Yes, ma'am, yeah.
first thing, what you started when you were, when you decided you'll appear for these examinations. Let us talk about NABARD specifically. So what was the first thing? My objective of this question is that students who now want to appear, what shall they do?
First of all, go through the notification, ma'am. Go through the notification thoroughly and see the topics. So you go through the syllabus first. Then I looked through the other sources and where I could study. But during that time, luckily, even that I would say stroke of luck, I came to know about EduTap and I enrolled for EduTap courses. So I mean, they were pretty helpful. The static part was really helpful, especially the videos and the content sheet and the summary sheet. So I started with that, and I think I took nearly 1.5 months to cover ARD. ESA part was almost covered for me because I had studied UPSC, so ESA was covered for me as well. Then post that I went through your this thing, ma'am, scheme documents.
Document, right.
So scheme part plays a major role in NABARD exam. That's what I went through the previous papers, and I felt that schemes are the major chunk which I need to cover. So I went through your content sheet and even I made notes of the schemes so that it would be easy for me to revise. And after that, last 15-20 days, though, I gave for prelims. So prelims, though, simple strategy I had kept. That is cover 3 months of current affairs. And ESARD, though, you are preparing anyways. So, and this thing, aptitude and logical reasoning, I was pretty smart enough in picking up the kind of questions. I was not like I had to cover a vast range of syllabus or something. I just targeted the few questions which are doable in that given little time. In 20 minutes, hardly you'll get for one paper. So, and along with that, I took up mocks, man. Mocks were the one which help you in preparing for these real exam kind scenarios.
Right. So I'll try to break up the things that you have told so that students, viewers of this video can actually get to know, because many of them are beginners, right? And even those who are not beginners, they always try to find out that what have I missed? Why could I not make to the examination, right? So,
so yeah, man, the suggestion would be for one who doubt themselves. I mean, have faith in yourself that you have done your best. That's what I'm telling you. Your stars should be aligned to clear these exams. You never know what's going to click on the exam day. So you never doubt your preparation or something. I mean, one thing I would say is for this kind of program, you need to have proper revisions. I mean, 4 to 5 revisions before the exam is must.
Very, very valid point that is. Right, right. Because the type of questions, of course, you understanding is one thing, but remembering the points is another, right?
Remembering, yeah.
So, Mr. Deepak, you tell me that since this time the pattern changed, the QRE part, computer decision making was made non-merit. So that was that in your favor?
I would say it was both a double-edged sword, ma'am. It was in my favor also and against me. You never know those kind of, I mean, QRE and this thing are always a gamble kind of things. I mean, in exam, if you don't get the answer, you are gone. So I would say it was a double-edged. It gave me an edge because being an engineering background, I was good in those. But still, I was happy that it was made as just a qualifying exam because you're concentrating on the main core subjects now. So they want a serious aspirant. So I feel this was a good move what they had. Right. Having these core subjects, concentration, more weightage on core subjects.
Right. So let's talk about ARD. Although ARD, ESI we'll discuss later because that you had covered also earlier. So you did not give much focus on that. Yeah, but ARD was a new subject for you, right? The static part especially. Schemes still are there if you are preparing for UPSC or any other examination. But the static part of ARD is a kind of dreaded part. People feel don't know what we have to cover from there. So you enrolled in the course, and as you mentioned, and then you studied like content sheets and the videos. But were you selective, or did you cover each and every chapter given in the course?
Ma'am, actually, the first reading what I had done, I had covered everything. Then later I filtered out the subjects, going through the question patterns and the things. For prelims, you need a different strategy. For mains, you need a different strategy. For prelims, you need to concentrate on the very few topics. The initial few topics, especially animal husbandry, fisheries, and those topics you need to cover initially for the prelims. So first reading, I read everything. Though for prelims, I selectively read few chapters. Like I skipped through agriculture engineering, that part. And even the last few chapters on climate change and all that I skipped through for prelims. Mainly consider the first few topics on agronomy, fisheries, animal husbandry, horticulture. So these are the key subjects which I covered through, ma'am.
No problem.
So these were the main subjects I went through.
Okay.
Key
For prelims
chapters which I went through.
specifically. And what
Prelims, yes.
about phase 2, like few other topics also, if you can add, which you focused on for phase 2?
Phase 2, actually the back end of the chapters become more important for the phase 2 because the kind of questions aren't that specific enough. So you need to prepare for them also. It's not like you want to skip through them and read through this. You need to go through the syllabus whole at once. And specifically for mains, I would say ask them to refer some monthly magazines if they have ARD monthly magazines. So they'll have that, especially I followed Vision. So where they had, especially followed ARD. So I could structure out the answer, the points, what you need to add in these exams. Most specifically on, basically I picked up a cherry picked few datas to put in the answers because these datas could be generic enough to put in all the answers. So I picked up cherry picked the few data and made a points in them. So I kept on memorizing them every day before the exam, like a week before the exam. So that they imprint in my mind and come out during my exam thing.
Right. So what I can understand is that for phase 1, you refer to few chapters, few topics, which are more important. You have listed them also. They are
more
anyhow important,
yes,
right? And for phase, right,
yes,
right.
ma'am. Yeah.
And for phase 2, because there is a kind of difference in the level of questions, more in-depth questions can be asked in phase 2. So you need to read thoroughly. And
Yes,
you also mentioned for descriptive part, you made a set of like fodder material, as I can say, the data points, the pointers that you'll use in writing your answers, right? For that, you refer to current affairs magazine, you said. Even I think students refer to magazines, these Kurukshetra magazines also, they can refer. Can they? Did you do that?
They can refer to. Kurukshetra, I didn't have time, ma'am, because I was busy attending my friend's wedding with that phase. So I didn't have the time to go through Kurukshetra. So I went through the one which was easily available. I mean, Kurukshetra we have too much of data. So went through which was precise enough for that. So one suggestion what I would do is I'll ask them to have a sheet, mention like if you're writing about food processing industry, write food processing industry, and just keep on adding the points. It's not like going to keep that one sheet specifically for food processing industry. So whenever you get a new point, just keep on adding to that. So it will be an addition to that old thing, and you have a fodder ready for your mains exam.
For answer writing also.
So like I had for horticulture one sheet, and for this thing animal husbandry one thing. So I had different sheets kind of in each. I kept on adding whenever I used to find a new data, newspapers or either way online. So I used to keep on adding the data to it.
Right. And how did you practice answer writing? This is very helpful, making sheets and datas, but what about answer writing?
Ma'am, answer writing, it's not an overnight thing what you're gonna acquire it. I would say the journey was 2.5 years. I mean, this online typing thing is a whole together ball game because on paper, pen and writing, it's very easy. On typing thing, you have that constrained UI will be small enough, plus the error checking will be there. So I used to practice on MS Word, ma'am. I used to turn off all the settings like grammar corrections and all. So I used to write my content and get them corrected on Grammarly. So I used to upload my content on Grammarly where it used to suggest the spelling mistakes and the grammatical mistakes. And the content wise, I used to share it with my other friend, Nikhil. So he's your current employer. So I used to share with him. We used to be very brutal in our review as such. I mean, we used to give honest feedbacks. Like you could have done this better. Like, I mean, we used to have daily 1 hour of discussion on this before the exam. So that thing really helped. I mean, I would suggest everyone to have a good study partner. That's like the must thing, what you need to have, so that you review each other's answers and have a good, better presentation in your exam.
So two things played very important role in your answer writing, what I can see. First is your practice. You practiced on, you did not wait that, okay, later on I'll type. First, let me just, because many people have this notion that first let me write the answers, later on I'll type. So you typed the answers.
Yeah, ma'am. So one more thing I want to, I want to add is in the examination hall, right? You have 1 hour to write 4 answers. It's not like you want to write everything on the paper and then start up. It's just like you'll hardly have 1 minute to read the question, other 2 minutes to jot down the points what you're going to write, and then just start typing. So people, I would suggest, don't sit and write everything on the page and then I will put it on the system. So that's how you're not going to work an exam. So
Right.
simulate an exam scenario in your room itself. I mean, have this setup over there, set a 1 hour alarm, pick up few questions and start writing on it.
Of course, practice is going to help you there. So one is your practice as you did.
Yes.
And second, you told
Yes.
the part of peer reviewing. You were getting the answers reviewed from your
Peer.
study partner, Nikhil, as you mentioned. So this
Study.
helped you.
Yes, ma'am.
And similarly, you would have been checking his answers. So that also helps you to make your answer better.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So
Yeah,
this,
I mean, you're going to have a broader perspective because you're having two minds. I mean, you're having seeing his points also. You could have, I mean, at the back of the it runs that, oh, even I could have added this point. So it's always good to peer review your answers. It's not like, okay, I've written the answer, I won't get it reviewed. So reviewing your answers is the biggest part, I would say, in the preparation.
So these are the two things, very, very valuable things. I think viewers of this video should note this point down, that if you are planning to, if you want to crack this examination, you cannot skip typing the answers, because phase 2 plays a very important role, right? And of course, get those checked also. Although if you have course, you get get your answers checked from faculties also, but it will be more like easy if you get it checked from your friend, because then you won't be hesitant that it will be get checked from a faculty will be calling me. You better talk to your friend.
Even I would say that, ma'am, I was hesitant to give it to others for reviewing. I was like, I used to have that feeling, man, they might judge me. So I used to give it to my friend. But anyways, he's a good friend of mine. Anyways, I mean, it's fine. I mean, even if he gives a harsh review, it's fine. So it's always used to be a peer review what I did.
Okay, so that is helpful, and students should do that. Achha, apart from this, I want to ask that, did you type answers? As you said, it was a long journey. So this tells that you were typing answers even before like phase 1. Is it so?
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, phase 1. Yeah. It all started in 2018 when I had to give I had cleared NABARD mains, prelims, and there was, I think, first lockdown came that time. So I had 3 months time that time. So that I started typing on everything on laptop. I used to sit and type. So one thing I would suggest is people don't sit for one exam, rather keep on writing these exams. So once you clear prelims, you'll have mains. All these IBPS exams are the same format of writing online. So you'll be in constant touch. Okay, you're typing, you'll be in constant touch. So that will help a lot. I mean, I would say don't sit for one exam for wasting your 1 year. Okay, I'll clear only this exam. I would rather suggest just keep on writing the exams. So each exam is a new learning. So you learn to manage time better, present your answers better. So I would say it's a continuous process. I would say just keep on writing the exams. That should be their mantra.
Right.
So,
yes, of course, because the more you practice, the more you get the exam environment, the more you are able to deliver in the examination, right? Okay. And now please tell us about your ESI preparation also. Although you had UPSC backgrounds, it would have been not difficult for you.
Yeah, ma'am. ESI, a major chunk of the questions come from the schemes part. I mean, I ask people to go through the schemes. I mean, whatever EduTap has given, I think it's more than sufficient. I would ask them to make notes of them because it would be easy to review, because it's more of numbers what they ask, the ministry, the allocation. It's more on that kind. So it's better you write down the key points for all the schemes what you're studying and keep on revising. That's a big mantra for ESI. Apart from that, newspaper, if you follow every day one newspaper, that should do, man. I mean, that should cover your ESI part. So if you have covered your basics, then that should cover your basics. That should be taken care by the newspaper and other things.
So newspaper, as you said, I get this question a lot that, ma'am, shall I read the newspaper on a daily basis? Do I need to make notes of it, or just to read it for understanding, or how much time shall I devote for it?
Yeah. So it's all different. But before I used to read the hard copy newspapers, then later I moved on and started reading online. So yeah, I used to have this 4-5 phone news apps. So whatever I used to check, oh, this is important news, I used to go open the app, read the thing over there. Okay. So it's not like you need to concentrate the whole thing on your from the newspaper itself. You can rather leverage the digital technology what you're having, the whatever the social media whatever, you can use that and gain your knowledge from that.
So basically just to be aware and to know what all is going on rather than making notes out of it.
Yeah, that's
okay.
There are notes of it, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Because anyways, those notes, anyways, you're studying 3 months of current affairs, that would cover the current affairs part. So it's just that you need to have that awareness of what's going on around me.
Okay.
Just for that you need to read something.
My follow-up question is about your 3 months current affairs, Vanda. Did you prepare current affairs for like, ESI also for 3 months only? GA, we get to know GA 3 months karna hai, but ESI also 3 months did you
Yes,
do?
ma'am. Yes, I actually for mains I stretched it a bit, ma'am. Mains I went for 6 months because I was giving mains. For prelims I had prepared only for 3 months.
Okay.
For mains I went for 6 months because it was a major answer writing kind of. You need to have a background of what is going on also. So for that I went for 6 months for mains part.
So to be safe, students who are preparing now, I think you would also suggest that 6 months kar lo. It is better that you prepare
6 months. 6 months is best. 6 months. I mean, read the 6 months. Give more emphasis on the last 3 months.
Right. And
so
schemes,
never know what kind of question paper you get, so you're prepared for the worst.
right. And schemes, anyhow, you said that are very important. You yourself covered schemes from the document given, and you made notes also. That is a very wise strategy, because schemes you cannot just by reading you cannot grasp it. You have to write and then revise it. Right? So what was the timeline of schemes?
And one more thing, ma'am, last 1 month I used to schemes. I think I devoted 15 days, ma'am. I know making notes takes a lot of time, but the first reading time, I think it took around 15 days, ma'am. Schemes, I went through all your documents from what was uploaded on your study package. I went through all the schemes. So, I mean, they can ask you any scheme in NABARD. It's not like they're going to ask you a recent one. So they can ask you schemes. Scheme part, I'm telling everyone to cover whatever is given in EduTap course. I mean, that would suffice your schemes part. I think that's a more scoring part, I feel. I mean, it's the direct questions. If you click, you're gonna get marks for that.
Right. And I think we missed something you were telling about last 1 month, because there was
ma'am. Last 1 month, I used to see your videos every day on YouTube, where you used to have this MCQ, used to conduct these MCQ videos on YouTube. So I used to follow your videos every day. So I mean, nighttime I couldn't follow. Morning I used to wake up. The first thing I used to wake up, just see your video and start the day. So I used to have a good revision as of when the kind of questions you're gonna ask, and there used to be some few more learnings from your videos also. So I would suggest to follow your videos before the exam.
So YouTube videos also helped you, and basically revision is the thing that you need to use the videos, or even your own notes you have to go through. So all these things help. Okay. Acha, anything you'd like to tell us for the ESI static part? Although the weightage is very less, but still, because people have this doubt that shall we just leave it entirely, or to what extent shall we cover it?
Man, cover the basic chapters. I would say cover the basics of economics, like BOP, balance of payments, money market, bond market, just to have an overview, like you're not lost in the examination all. So if you have these basics, I mean, basic chapters, just the bonds, money market, balance of payment, and the forces in economy, those forces of production, and other things would be to prepare this GDP and other things. So if you have just the basic part, you just discovered, that should be fine, man.
Okay, for static part.
Just to have the basic preparation should do. Yeah, basic should be do.
Okay, so I'll highlight one thing here for the viewers of this video, that for ARD, static is more important. You have to do it thoroughly. There are few chapters, as Mr. Deepak said, they are more important. You have to cover them. But for ESI, a basic understanding of the static part is required. Rest is current affairs and schemes majorly that are asked in the examination in both the phases. Yeah. This is the pattern which is followed in both the phases, right? Okay, and I think we have spoken about ESI and ARD, and answer writing you have already given the tips. Anything else you would like to add on to the preparation of these two very, very important subjects, ESI, ARD?
ARD, I would suggest revisions, ma'am. Have multiple revisions, whatever you are studying. And for mains, perspectively, have definitions and all ready for that. I mean, there are few definitions which you need to produce in the answer writing. For prelims, it's fine. I mean, you just read through, you just need to remember. For mains, I would suggest have some key definitions ready. Along with that, have the data ready for like the fodder for answer writing. Because questions would be generic, obviously. This time they had asked around agriculture, I think on agriculture pattern or something. So if I had a basic fodder ready, I can have the data that agriculture, I mean, it contributes 18% of GDP, 60% population is employed in agriculture. But even then, our productivity is going down. So those kind of things you need to have them. So I would say have the data points ready, like memorize them before the exams, and that should suffice you in answer writing.
Okay, fine. So that is again very valuable input that has come. So I think this will be helpful. Now you have to tell us about GA also,
Yeah.
phase 1 subject.
GA, ma'am, I'm more of a old school guy. I mean, I tend to make notes every time I do. I mean, whatever I study, I tend to make notes. So GA also, I prepare 3 months ka notes and I revise a lot. I mean, GA right before the prelims, I think I revised 4 to 5 times. So what I would suggest people is, I mean, there are people have different methodologies. What I would suggest is have your notes ready so that the GA also is kind of static. I mean, you need to, their questions are so direct, you need to memorize a lot. So if you have everything prepared as a notes, so it would be easy for you to revise. The day before the exam also, you can revise in 3-4 hours and you'll have that sense of satisfaction that I have prepared for tomorrow's exam.
And what was your
so 3 months
3
notes,
months.
revisions, multiple revisions.
Right. And what was your source?
Source with multiple, ma'am. I used to cover one source from one thing, take questions from the other website, so that I could cover a diverse topic. So I used to sometimes refer EduTap, sometimes others. But I used to take questions from the other side. If I'm taking the course from one site, take the questions from the other side, so that it's diverse. Your preparation is diverse. So whatever is missed on one course, you'll have covered it from the other source.
Okay, and this is especially.
So have one source as your.
Please
have
continue.
one source of your base source. Yes, ma'am. Have one source as your base. You don't go for multiple sources. Have one source. Just other courses, you just go through the questions. What are the questions they are asking? So they'll have more input to your what you are studying. So keep one course as your base, and around that, just give question answers. I mean, attempt as many questions as possible.
So this is what you have said. No, thank you for saying this, because I have been telling in the videos that one should be your base source, right? But apart from that, you have to refer to other sources, like, and a half source. It can be 1.5 source, because you're referring to half is MCQs, you're practicing
1.5
mocks,
source,
right? So this is important. And 3 months you did, but I can like assure people that you revised it really well, right? Because you have given emphasis on revision a lot, right?
Yeah,
and
so revision is the key. I would say don't. Yeah, ma'am. One thing, don't take 3 as a mantra. I mean, 3 months ka mantra. I would rather suggest people go till 6 months if it's time is there. I mean, it's better you prepare more so that you cover all this in the exam. You never the nature of question paper what's coming. So it's better you have 6 months, but 3 months, more emphasis on 3 months. Revision.
Okay, right. And what about mock tests? The role of mock tests?
Mock tests, I think they are the one which prepare you for the exam. So how much are you study? They are the one which revise you the topics. I mean, what I used to do was take a mock, solve it. So whatever the question I used to get, I used to open my notes because I had handwritten notes. I used to open the topic and revise that topic. So, I mean, it used to be a good revision for me. I mean, first few mocks used to be like that. I mean, it takes time. First few mocks used to be like that. I used to cover all the topics in that way. So post that mocks, I think everyone should give minimum 7 to 8 mocks before the exam. Like give it from other sources, not stick to one course. 5 from here, 5 from EduTap, 5 from some other course, so that you have diverse questions covered up.
Right. That is a very,
so mocks,
I think,
last 15 days should be kept for mocks.
Okay, before prelims, phase
last
1.
15 days, keep it for mocks purely. Before prelims, 15 days purely keep it for mocks. I mean, day in, day out, just all mocks. It's not like I had to prepare a static, I'll read my notes. That's not going to help you because these questions going to prepare you for the exam. So I would say solve mocks as many as possible before the exam. 15 days, keep it for mocks. Last 15 days prelims.
Right. So mocks have a very important role. You get prepared for the examination, right? Okay. And of course, analysis also, as you mentioned, that you used to like revise through mocks and analysis of which area was strong in the mock or not. That also
which area, ma'am? That helps a lot actually. I mean, there are few topics which you tend to ignore. I mean, while you're preparing, you think these topics are important. So when you attempt a mock, you get a question, okay, this topic I haven't covered properly. So you can go back and prepare that again. So in that way, you are covered with the whole syllabus.
Okay, right.
So mocks, so go for mocks, as many mocks as possible before the exams.
Right. Fine. So this is again a very important advice that you have to take revision is very important thing, and one way of doing revision is also mocks only. Getting new questions, knowing your own strength, knowing your own weakness is also through mocks only. So mock test you should do. You can get many, I think many free mocks are available. Everyone provides actually few mocks, so you
Free mocks
enroll.
are available, yeah, ma'am.
So you
Free
get
mock.
all the mocks.
Yeah, ma'am.
So it will be a good strategy.
So I would say solve 5 from one course. I mean, what I do, I used to take 5 from EduTap. Then post that, I used to go for other mocks. I mean, free mocks wherever I was getting, I used to take them and solve.
Right.
So in that way, you're having diverse questions and more things are covered.
Right. Okay. So I think this is about our merit section discussion. Now quickly let us also discuss about non-merit section, quant reasoning, because see, especially this year, people did not have this thing in mind, you know, that what should I target? How much should I score? Because they don't know how much will be the cutoff probably.
Yeah. So going by quant, ma'am, what I do is there will be data interpretation, 2 questions will be there. I target the one which is easiest. So that thing fetches you 5 marks. Once you solve it, then I go for the individual questions. I mean, individually there is simple questions like quadratic equation, or they'll ask us to find a wrong number or something. So I would say suggest to be on safer side, if you are scoring 7 to 8 to 9 marks, I mean, you are safe to sail through that quant part. I mean, post that, there's no point in investing more time because it's not a merit section. If you're solving around 9 to 10 questions, that should be enough. You don't have to cover everything. So I would suggest people choose the questions wisely because time is a major concern in these exams.
Okay.
So choose the questions which are doable in that given time. So what I suggest is take up one data interpretation question. So that will fetch you 5 marks, and the other will be individual questions, 3-4 questions. And coming to the reasoning part, I am very poor in, I won't say poor. My weakness is the puzzle solving. I mean, I tend to take more time. So what is I used to look for the individual questions, whatever there in the paper. So sometimes you get the syllogism questions. So that would be easy. Input output would be there. So I would target them 5 to 6 marks over there. And this will be reasoning questions, what they'll ask. I mean, they'll give a situation. So what would be the conclusion? So what would be the course of action? So those kind of questions I used to target the individual questions. Even then, the mantra is, if you're getting 8 to 9 correct, you should sail through. I mean, don't invest more time on that. You can switch over to the other parts. And English, I think, ma'am, English, I mean, I didn't do any much preparation for that. English as such, I mean, it's just that I used to give him mocks. And I would suggest give mocks, you'll get a hang of the kind of questions you're going to ask in English. Because sometimes the English, the time is so constrained, you end the heading a lot. I mean, you miss your time in reading the heading. So if you're giving marks, once you see the question, you know that the kind of question it is. So that would be a thing, English. And computer science, as I'm coming from computer science background, ma'am, so it wasn't an issue for me. So that part was covered, the computer science part.
And for English, you mentioned that there is no much preparation required if you have English background only.
Yes,
if you have studied from English medium school, then you can just solve mocks so that you get to know that these are the type of questions that gonna come, right? Otherwise, also English
mainly go to get hang of type of questions. Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay. And
so mainly, I would suggest all mocks just to get the hang of questions. Yeah, ma'am.
Right. Okay, fine. So computer also, you have said that it can be done. You had a background, so basically a basic study from the notes available. Or
yeah, ma'am. I think basic notes. Yeah.
Okay.
I think there are so many notes available in the market, ma'am. You can refer one note. I think it would be like 25 or 30 page notes. I don't remember the source. So I prepared that once, and other things will be more of a logical, ma'am. It's not like it's some rocket science or something, computer science. Even the non-computer science background people also can, if they apply their brains, they can easily clear the cutoff. It won't be much of an issue.
Okay. But one subject we are still to discuss, that is decision making.
Decision making, yeah, ma'am. So that part, I used to target this individual question. As I said before, I used to target this individual question. So sometimes, you take up a puzzle, it eats up your time if you don't get the answer. So I would target these individual questions, which are simple enough. Solve them, like I used to solve on 7-8 of them, then go for a puzzle. So even if you can't solve the puzzle, it's fine. At least you have cleared the cutoff marks over here. So what I would suggest is, if you're facing trouble in solving the puzzles, solves individual questions, that will be a moral booster. Okay, I have solved 7-8 questions, so I'm through this. Then post that, you can go for puzzle solving.
Actually, I think I got too confused. I wanted to ask about the subject decision making, which is newly added this time. 10 mark subject.
Okay,
I
decision making. Oh,
confused
I'm
you
sorry,
to the
ma'am. Yeah,
decision
yeah, I
making
missed
of
that.
reasoning. I
Okay.
think.
Oh, sorry, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am. I would say again. I would say this again. So, as I've been preparing for many other exams, so I prepare for RBI and SEBI. So the management part had covered me for this. I mean, the kind of questions that asked me over here. So I would suggest people don't sit for one exam. That's what I'm telling. Diversify, write more exams as possible. Have that knowledge. You never know when that knowledge is going to be helpful for you. So this thing helped me, ma'am, because I'm preparing for SEBI and all. I prepared for this thing, management subject. So that thing helped me a lot. I mean, I was prepared for it. So I could solve the questions over there. I mean, it was tough for others, but it was, I mean, fine for me, ma'am. It wasn't that tough. So I would suggest go through your management course. If you have taken RBI course, EduTap, go through your management course. I mean, I would suggest go through a management course.
So one thing that comes to my mind, Mr. Deepak, while hearing your story or your preparation is that nothing ever goes waste if you have put in hard work. Your UPSC preparation helped you in ESI, right? Your economics part was good. Then you knew how to make structure of the answers. Then your preparation of RBI or SEBI helped you in through management, you could cover decision making easily, right? So all these things help you, and that is what also happened with you.
Yeah, ma'am, that's what.
Great. That is a good thing.
Diversify your knowledge. I mean, have a wide range of knowledge. You never know what's going to help in exams.
Okay, so we've discussed the non-merit section also. And before we move on to your interview stage, would you like to tell us few tips or few things that helped you for your English descriptive also?
English descriptive, yeah, ma'am. So the major part is the structuring part in English descriptive, because imagine the condition of an examiner, he would be correcting so many thousands of papers. So I would suggest have a specific heading like what you're explaining. So I refer to Anudip Dirushetty's essay tips. So where he has given a subheadings kind of. So I used to use these phrases, a double-edged sword. If there's something which has both pros and cons, if you're writing an essay. So you used to write, it's a double-edged sword. So it's both having advantage and the disadvantage. So I would suggest structure it in a proper way. Also, the key would be less spelling mistakes. Check on your spellings and grammatical, because English, they're not testing your knowledge. So you don't have to say like, oh, I don't have the data for this. They're not testing your knowledge. They're testing a more of a comprehensive skill. So I would suggest less errors and grammatical mistakes, less grammatical mistakes. So that thing would be, that's what I given initially. So get your type it and get it validated on Grammarly. So that would be a major helpful. And for coming to Pressy, actually I referred one of the videos of Deepak sir, where he talks about what all the contents you need to have. So Pressy, initially I made a blunder thinking, okay, this part is important, that part is important. But once I went through the Deepak sir's video, I had a more clarity, like what should be written in the Pressy. So that was more helpful. And coming to comprehension, it's all on the spot. I would suggest people don't copy paste anything from comprehension. Use your own words. I mean, take the keywords from them, but present it in your own ways. You shouldn't be like a copy paste, direct copy paste.
Okay.
So don't do copy paste work over here. I mean, just show that, okay, I've understood the part. Just present it in your own way. So that would be the best part.
So did you solve any mock test or mock paper for English also?
So me and that's why here also the importance of study partner comes in. And so we both used morning. We both used to pick up few topics and then say, okay, we're going to write essay on this. Pressy, we used to pick up some news article. So you used to pick up some news article or any article online. So you used to set a time for each of us. So we used to pick the topics for both of us. We used to set 1 hour in the evening, write those topics. After 1 hour, exchange the transcripts with each other, then get it validated.
Right. So practicing and getting it evaluated.
Practicing getting evaluated, yeah, the key part. And also going for the English, I mean, I would suggest people not to mug up too many things. Okay, I need to mug up this part, that part, because English nowadays they're asking very generic topics. They're not asking the particular technical kind of. I mean, they're asking very generic. This time I remember they asked about how agriculture is helping, technology is helping our farmers. So, I mean, you won't prepare, you just know the gist of it. So I'm telling people not to stress much on the data part. Just that, okay, if you have the data, it's good, well and good. Okay, your essay looks good, but don't stress much on the data. You need to have put in the data. That's fine if you don't put in the data.
Structure is anyhow more important when we talk about English. The format, basically,
yes,
right? You follow.
Format, yeah.
Okay. Right. So I think that's it. So now let us also talk about your interview experience. How was it?
Yes, ma'am.
When you went?
Interview was pretty cool, good, ma'am. I mean, the panel was very cordial. I mean, they're having a happy, smiling face, even though they have to go through so many people in the day. They have that happy, smiling face always. And they are not, I mean, they're not testing your knowledge as such. I mean, they just want to put you in that difficult situation, then see how you're going to react to that. So definitely in the interview, initially I had a good interaction with them. They asked about my they asked for my introduction, then post that why you came for this line and all. In the end, they asked few tricky questions where I felt okay, I didn't answer them well. It's fine. I mean, they're just testing you how you're going to react in tough situations. It's not like, okay, I didn't answer that question, they're going to throw me out. It's nothing like that. Just be your true own self. That's the one thing. I mean, don't bluff anything because they are pretty senior to us. I mean, they have seen so many people. So just be true to yourself, whatever the reason is. Just say it promptly. I mean, don't beat around the bush. So that would be a mantra. I mean, just be your own self.
Did you take any mock interview for this before going to your interview?
Yeah, ma'am. I took your EduTap mock interview. That was very helpful, actually. I mean, there are a few parts which I haven't covered, especially the annual report part. I mean, I hadn't gone in depth. So once I interacted with the panel, they give me a few good inputs to cover annual reports. And there's a district paper which NABARD releases for each district. So they asked me to go the state paper and district paper both. So I went through them. Plus, apart from that, I think that's it, ma'am. I think EduTap one mock interview was good. Then I gave interview to my other friends. I mean, not on technical round, on the HR based questions. So how I would structure the answers while conveying to them. So I used to again peer review. I mean, I asked my friends. I mean, they used to call me up and ask me the questions. They would see how do I interact. So that's how it helped.
Okay. And one last thing about this interview part. Did you prepare like on your DAF form that you filled? Did you prepare questions or anything else?
Yeah, DAF. Yeah, ma'am. DAF part, I think that would cover your HR questions, what you're going to ask. Everything was going to come from DAF. Right from my education, they took it from the DAF. Then they asked, why did you work over here? Why did you quit? Everything was from DAF. So I would tell people, once you write the DAF, write down the questions, the kind of question what you're going to ask. So if you're writing any hobby, so they're going to definitely ask you. So if you write cricket, if the panel member is a cricket fan, you would definitely ask more about cricket. Okay, what's happening? That is, I would say DAF is like the main granth kind of. So you take questions from you pick questions. What are the possible questions they might ask you? So they might ask you why the gap in the this thing. Why do you have so many years of gap? What did you do? So prepare for those kind of questions. So DAF is like the granth. You need to cherry pick the questions, like the kind of questions they might ask, and prepare for that.
Okay. So you prepared the questions and their answers, and you used to practice, as you said, with your friends. The HR round you used to practice, right? Mock interview.
HR round, and even used to stand in front of the mirror also. I mean, stand in front of the mirror also sometimes. And the way when they ask you to introduce, I mean, once you enter the room, it's like a totally different zone. I mean, you freeze for a minute. Okay, is this happening? So you just interact in the mirror, look at the mirror, and try interacting, like how you gonna convey to them, how you gonna say the content, what you want to say.
Right. So your DAF questions, practicing in front of mirror, HR round with friends, basically, and mock interview, the technical one, which helps you to give a direction to your preparation. Yes.
Yeah, ma'am. So it's more of I would say one more suggestion for interview. They would ask for the region where you're coming from, more from your region, you're coming from the state. So the more they're gonna ask me, because they ask me, I come from Gulbarga, they ask so much on Gulbarga, like what's the situation over there? Was the FPO situation over there? So it's more of your region awareness, what the regional awareness, what we're gonna ask you in interviews.
Right. So for that, you have to know about your current things going on in your area. Plus, as you said, district paper also, state paper that is presented by NABARD. And you were also reading a newspaper.
Newspaper was must, ma'am, for interview purpose, because they might, I mean, I didn't get the question. The person who went before me, so I think our interview was on Women's Day. So they asked him what was the theme. So what are the initiatives government is taking up. So it's like you need to have that awareness. I mean, newspaper, I think once you write your mains, you're sure that you're going to clear the mains, start preparing for, start reading newspaper every day.
Okay, right. So very important tips. I think these are actually more important when you clear phase 2, right? So wholeheartedly you prepare for your interview then. So as of now, you should focus on your phase 1, right, and phase 2. And then if
phase
students
1 and phase 2,
who will appear for interview, they have to follow all these things also, right? So I think that was a very insightful interview. Deepak, we had a very good conversation. A lot of tips you have given, and thank you so much for coming today.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks. Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, and thanks a lot for having on your prestigious education institute. I would suggest people to, take up EduTap. I mean, I feel EduTap was one of the guiding lights for my exams. I mean, whenever I felt lost, I used to refer to EduTap. Okay, they have given it. You have such an experienced faculty. I would suggest people to take up EduTap. It's not a paid interview. I mean, paid interview I said, but I would suggest take up EduTap. I mean, I went through other sources, but EduTap, I felt it has that benchmark. It set the benchmark for others now.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We are really humbled, and this is what we actually look forward for, students like you. So we wish you all the very best from our entire team and all our students. Nikhil, who is your friend and is in our team now. So we wish you all the best. You will definitely make a very good officer, and we look forward to have more discussions with you in future.
Sure, ma'am. I would definitely help people. I mean, who are preparing for these exams, I would definitely have the helping hand always. I mean, whenever they can reach me, so I would be happy to help them anytime.
Right. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, ma'am.